This
All right.
is the conscious
I feel
experience.
professional right now because it's like we got everything put together. We got the video over there, you know what I'm saying? The nice audio mics, studio vibes is in. I'm just blessed. Always shout out to the conscious viewers. We love you guys. This is episode 50. We've done 50 of these things, which is crazy. Shout out to my
Boom.
guy, Lap.
Yo.
Yes, sir. And we're just doing it like that, man. I'm just extremely grateful for all the positive feedback from all the listeners, and it just feels amazing to be able to create and put something out there that literally comes from my mind and brain. So it's absolutely dope. Um, we are sponsored by a few different things, but I'm gonna get to that at the end of the podcast. I want to get straight to the episode. We have the CEO of One Green Leaf in the building. What's up, Desiree?
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Yes, for sure. It's an honor to have you. I'm very excited. You being so young, you just had your birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday, by the
Thank
way.
you.
For sure, for sure. And you just turned 20, which is crazy. I don't remember when I turned 20. It seems so long ago. It's like 4 years
Wow.
ago. I'm gonna give myself some credit. I'm not that old, you know what I'm saying? But you're a CEO of a business. Like you got things going, and like I said, like before we got started, like you're on a great path so far. So
Thank you.
what sparked your entrepreneurial mind to create your brand, One Green Leaf?
So it actually was like a spontaneous, I guess, semi-collaborative effort at first with my friend and I, junior year of high school. And that's when I started kind of like redirecting my thoughts as to what I really wanted to do with my life. And I 100% wanted to be a veterinarian since I was like 5 years old. That's what I just thought my whole life would be involved with, is just animals and stuff like that. But I started to realize that my actual passion was cooking and food and nutrition, because I had had some just previous like health issues that I didn't know about. I'd ask my mom, and she's a doctor, she's a chiropractor, but she really just didn't know enough about like dietary health and nutrition. Like she knew so much growing up, but just not like enough to actually help me when it came down to like what was my issue with eating and why my stomach would hurt, stuff like that. So when I started researching like the effects of dairy and like the whole production of dairy in that industry and how bad it was for people, I completely just researched like a vegan vegetarian lifestyle, the diet, so many benefits to it, and I got super into it because it was working for me 100%. And a lot of my friends too, they actually like junior year I started this like vegan trend almost where like everyone started bringing salads to lunch or just
Yeah.
healthier options. And
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy because they not only like lost weight, like all of us did lose a lot of weight, and our skin cleared up, like
Yeah.
we felt better, our metabolism was working more efficiently, especially for like a 15, 16-year-old girl. Like normally you start getting kind of slouchy after you hit puberty, and it's just like that's a normal thing, but you're not really supposed to feel terrible though. And a lot of us did. So I noticed it was almost like the entire world was on that side too, because
Yeah.
everyone was finally starting to publicize like, oh my gosh, veganism's the new trend, it's the new way of life. Like all these acai bowl places started opening up, and then they also had missions of just creating like healthy, quicker foods for people that needed that. So
Yeah. Me and Brian both graduated with a bachelor's in exercise science and health promotion. And for me, like health is like top three things that I make sure that I keep up on a daily basis. And it's so much more than, what I feel is like the physical state is more of a mental state as well. And I think you posted something on your page. I'm gonna read it. And I was able to like for sure resonate with it.
definitely.
Let's see. All right. Do 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 do. It was your first post on One Green Leaf, actually, and guys, follow her page, One Green Leaf _
Thank you.
Yes, follow. And it says health is about more than what you're eating. It's what you're thinking, saying, and believing. And to me, that's so true, because I feel like when you put healthy things in your body, foods that hold like a high vibration of energy, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to definitely be able to reap the benefits from that. You know, you are what
Yeah.
you eat for sure. So speak to how diet has changed your life.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It really was challenging at first too because I had to repeat that quote to myself almost every single day to keep going with it because um you'd be surprised how many people have vices that aren't like drug or anything else related. They're actually food vices. And I was one of those people, and so growing up, like, you think you're totally fine, you think everything's good, but I realized a lot of anger and like mood changes and things like that actually for me had to do with food and
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, and just I was not getting the proper vitamins and nutrients from food that I was supposed to be getting. So going through dance, being a super healthy kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then not dancing full time anymore, I didn't realize why I felt so strange and felt so weird eating the same things like cheeseburgers, pizza, macaroni, and cheese all the time constantly. I didn't
So
realize
good.
why, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize why it hurt and like why I couldn't digest it or why I just wasn't getting any energy off of it, basically,
Yeah.
which is the whole point of eating.
Yeah.
So, the whole vegan process for me was basically like I started off small with using what they have at the grocery store, which is like substitute soy products, stuff like that, which I knew weren't the best thing in the world, and I got a lot of criticism from my family from it, but I still tended to choose something like that over like a big cheeseburger, something that was going to be way greasier, sorry.
No worries.
I was like, that's not a word. Something super greasy or something super high in cholesterol. I was picking something that was a little bit better for me, and each time it just got better from there. So I just had to keep telling myself, like, sugar is not more important than you are.
Yeah.
So you can't keep putting your feelings into food. Like, you have to be putting your feelings into art, music, dance, things that you actually love doing. So I think it wasn't even just a diet change, it was a full-on lifestyle change
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And I like couldn't be more grateful that I figured that out for myself, especially at 14, because if I hadn't, like, I don't know where I would be right now too.
Most
So
definitely.
because
Yeah.
it stayed with me, and I do choose small amounts of things that I'm really interested in eating sometimes that aren't fully vegan, but it's because I know that in that moment I can completely go back and I can control my diet now.
Yeah.
And that's something so empowering to me that I just didn't have before, because the way that like my family eats is so different from the way that I eat. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have that like constant in my
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah, and that was a very introspective monologue you had with yourself as far as like, changing up your diet. I feel like that is the hardest or one of the hardest things to change about yourself, because literally you eat every day. And I think, for the listeners who are listening to this episode, like, I'm there with you. I understand, like, I want to eat cheeseburgers all the time. I want to eat Cheetos all the time. I want to eat Krispy Kremes all the time. I was literally about to get a box, but
me too. The other day, I
Yeah.
literally had to tell myself, I'm like, listen, I know it's your birthday, but this is not what you should be eating. I was like, we'll get dessert at some point. So
Yeah. And what the realization I came down to was, there has to be a balance, and it has to be something to where it makes sense. For me, I do like a 80-20 rule. Like,
Yes.
80% of the time I eat clean. I'm eating, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and lean protein. I have to because of jiu-jitsu. That requires a lot of energy, and I work out a lot. That requires a lot of energy, so I have to eat clean. But one thing I noticed was the cognitive clarity that I got
Yes.
from it. And then also, I think most importantly, was my energy levels. It wasn't like I was riding high and then like midday I crashed into the rocks or something. Like, because I was eating clean and I wasn't over consuming, I was able to keep a steady level of energy. And I know that another issue is overconsumption, especially being
Yes.
in America. Yeah.
100%. I think that was the biggest issue with me, was that I thought it was normal to eat an entire like huge size cheeseburger by myself and a milkshake. Like, I got to the point where I was eating probably like 3,000 calories in a day.
Whoa.
And that's, yeah.
Wow.
Which it was just, my metabolism was on fire though because of doing dance, track, cheerleading all at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like, I had no
Holy
idea.
Yeah, but that makes sense. But just to put it in perspective, like 3,000 calories, I think a grown man is only supposed to consume 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Women, it's around like 12 to 1,500, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Wow. That's
I
crazy.
think males is like 17 to 2,000.
Yeah.
1,700.
Yeah.
So, and I would, if you look at it, like a full-on pasta at the Cheesecake Factory is about like literally 1,700 calories. And I would eat like a full one of those for
Yeah.
dinner plus the cheesecake by
Yeah.
myself, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even like include what I ate for breakfast and lunch. So I'm sure it was over 2,000 to 3,000 calories
Yeah.
because it's like easily right there. Dinner was 2,000.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, what helped me was I start fasting.
yes.
And it was tough at first because first is it's a body adaptation. Your body has to get used to it. So it killed me like the first 2 and 3 times, but after that, it was super beneficial. And I know lap that you're experimenting with different things, and this guy's on a
Yeah.
spiritual journey. Walking barefoot
Oh, man.
and going on strolls. But
Yeah.
even you fast, and I know you could speak to the benefits of having a clean diet and fasting and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like, well, for me, I feel like one of the things that pushed me towards it is that, health is wealth at the end of the day, and it's definitely a journey in itself. And with fasting, I feel like the real reason why I started fasting was kind of like to kind of build like mental strength, because at the end of the day, like cravings can kind of be like an addiction sometimes, and it's like sometimes like you kind of, or at least for myself, sometimes I got to prove to myself that I can kind of do something. And so with fasting, or when I first, like, I want to say maybe like 2017, I did like, I guess you can say I cut out meat for like 3 months. And
Oh,
like
wow.
in that amount of time, I realized how much better and how like, um, I guess it's like when you feel nutrients, or you feel like, I don't know how to explain. It's like you're not full, but you feel really good. You know what I mean? Like after you eat, you don't feel sluggish. And
Exactly.
once I realized,
You're getting the
yeah,
like nutritional benefit from the macro and micronutrients you're eating. So
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really good.
So once I realized that, I was like, bet, like this is kind of what I've been missing out on. And then like even when I would get that craving to like eat a burger or eat a pizza, like beforehand it would be like a good idea, and then after I was like, damn, I feel like shit now.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed
Yeah.
that 100%. And a long time ago, too, around the time that I had decided I really wanted to open my own restaurant, which was when I worked at it was this place called Be Organic in Huntington Village, and they had pretty much like a vegetarian, pescatarian type thing going on, and I loved that vibe. I was a chef for them for a little while, and absolutely loved it. And that's kind of when I fell in love with like I could do this. This could actually be like my thing, my full-time career, like opening restaurants and preaching just like a healthier lifestyle for people, and like really loving them and getting to know them. Though that was like the most important thing for me. And at the time, one of the other local restaurants in the area had told me that there's been a lot of research done on the fact that you're supposed to eat warm food and cold food. So there's supposed to be a big balance in your diet, and it also kind of it seems to go along with a lot of other spiritual aspects and just like human body reactions too that occur, that when you eat warm food, like something cooked with something raw that's a vegetable too, you digest it way more properly than just like eating a ton of like frozen box meals or like a big cheeseburger, something like that.
Wait, say that again. So hot and warm food, your body digests it like in a more efficiently, or it's
Like having a mix of it, your body's gonna actually take the nutrients out of it better than if like say for breakfast you cook like oatmeal or something, so like completely cooked food, you're kind of breaking down part of the components of the food when you do cook it.
Yeah.
So if you have something like that, or like cooked eggs for breakfast, and then for lunch you're having something like a cheeseburger or like macaroni and cheese, like more cooked food,
Yeah.
and then for dinner it's the same thing, like a cooked steak, cooked chicken, it's
yeah.
all warm foods.
Yeah.
So he was telling me that it's really important that like for lunch or just a meal throughout the day, that you're eating stuff that includes like fresh strawberries and fresh greens, celeries, cucumbers, things that
Yeah.
aren't being cooked or processed whatsoever, because
Yeah.
your body then will break down the food so much quicker and actually use the nutrients in just so many different ways than if you just eat warm food or you just eat raw food. So he said
Bro, that makes a lot of
having a
sense.
balance of both is perfect, because there's a lot of people that believe in like just juice cleansing, just being hardcore like raw vegans.
Yeah.
And he was explaining that that's amazing, but your body gets to the point where your metabolism is so fast and so strong, I'm good, thank you, and that it it almost is like a shock to your system. So it's now on this like super, super high speed thing. So if you ever eat something like bad almost with that, you're really going to feel it and it's really not going to feel good. So having like a really good balance with eating like the warm cooked foods and also the raw things, it'll just be so much more beneficial for your body because you will feel the energy last longer because you're feeling like a little bit of a savory satisfaction with all the vitamins and nutrients from the colder foods.
So on top of that, I'm sorry, were you saying something?
I was gonna say low key. That sounds like a parallel that correlates with like taking warm and cold showers.
Yes.
Yeah. So on top of that, what you're vegan, right?
At the moment, I'd say I'm more vegetarian. I've
Vegetarian.
been lately, yeah.
Okay. Tell us the difference between how you felt when you were eating everything versus vegetarian, and then when you went vegan. You went vegan for a brief moment of time.
I was like fully vegan for 2 years,
Nice.
and I probably had like a couple cheat days accidentally, but
Yeah.
stuff happens. So.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
I was vegan for a year and I had a cheat day accidentally. I was really pissed though because I was like, man, I got this new thing and it's going. And then something had something that wasn't vegan in it and I didn't really know the ingredients and I just got mixed up and I was like, wow. But yeah, so what are the.
Exactly. I didn't know sometimes, like, I had no idea that, like, honey wasn't vegan. But
Yeah.
bees make it, and I never
Yeah.
correlated that, like, honey wouldn't be vegan
Yeah.
because everyone tells you that honey has so many vital nutrients and, like, so much in it that's so good for your health and, like, healing skin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I never thought, like, oh, yeah, this isn't vegan, but technically it's not. So.
Yeah.
But.
So I'm just gonna go back to the question,
Yeah,
the
definitely,
difference.
sorry.
Yeah, no worries. This is a great conversation.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say what is like the biggest difference you have felt between all three lifestyles, diets?
So, growing up as a kid, I definitely noticed that my stomach would be like severely bloated all the time. I just always felt kind of like sluggish. And I was like obviously an active kid. I did like normal stuff, like I'd ride my bike around, go to dance 17 times a day, and like do all of the stuff with my sister and my family, like different sports activities. And then school, I was awake all day. But I did notice that when I was in school, like I would get really tired after lunch. Every single time I'd pretty much eat something, I'd fall asleep almost in the next class. So I had a feeling that like that does have to do with diet. And after switching over, that completely stopped. Like I was way more high energy and kind of had that childlike hyperactiveness back, which was something that I missed so much too because I felt like I should have this energy and I just don't have it.
Yeah.
And I was really confused as to why. So
Yeah.
after switching to being more vegan and also working at that restaurant all the time, I was eating all the food obviously there
Yeah.
because for lunch breaks and stuff we'd get to do that. And with the juice cleansing too all the time, my stomach, there was absolutely no pain ever. Everything that I ate seemed like I wasn't even eating. It was almost like eating air. Like it worked so well with my body that I didn't notice it. Like I wouldn't notice little stomach bubbles. I wouldn't notice little digestive pain, stuff that people totally commonly get. Like all the time, almost after every single meal, you'll get like a little burp, a little hiccup, something. And I had nothing. I felt amazing. I would be ready to go run a mile after every time I ate. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that they'll eat, feel like sick, feel stomach cramps, and then they'll want to go pass out and take a nap.
Yeah.
And I thought, how could that possibly be normal? Especially like if you go back to our roots of hunting and gathering
Yeah.
and how that supposedly happened. If we were hunting and gathering and you went and ate something that made you pass out, well, you'd die. Like
Yeah,
something's gonna
yeah,
eat you.
yeah.
So that didn't make much sense to me either.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, and then vegetarian, I did realize I do have like a dairy like allergy or like an irritation to it. Specifically since it does cause like a lot of people to break out since there's a lot of added like hormones and things to dairy. So I do stay away from it as much as I can. My mom's obsessed with cheese though, so it's a little bit hard sometimes with her. So like when we go out to like an Italian restaurant or something, she'll order something like heavy, like a cheese board or something, and I'll try a little bit here and there. But I do prefer being fully vegan. That is 100% like the way I like to live. So
I think I like to equate like eating junk food is the same as like trying to go max speed in your car when you're like you have like 20 miles left in the tank. It's not going to run as smooth as it would if it was on a full tank. So yeah, I mean for me, I was a vegan for about a year. I think it's so long ago, but I remember I did it for a long time. I felt like in my mind, and it was because I really wanted to see what this was about. I like to experiment with myself. I do, other different things like even do psychedelics like microdose and stuff like that. But with this particular case, it was something like dietary. So I went from eating like a college teenager to like
Yeah,
going to a straight vegan diet, and it was tough at first, big
definitely.
time. Yeah, I think with the first week, like it was so bad I considered quitting just because like my body was like like what are you doing, like what
Mhm.
is this good stuff, we don't know how to process, whatever, but
That's a huge thing for
yeah,
people too, is the rejection period. I
yeah,
was watching a ton of videos of girls complaining like, "Oh my god, never go vegan. This is actually horrible." The thing was like it will treat you how you have treated your body the
yeah,
entire time, and I think
yeah,
that is the funniest for full circle thing about it is like
yeah.
when you do start cleansing and purifying your body, there's going to be a process where like the demons are going to have to come out, and that's all the old food that's been stored in your cells and everything. Like it's going to cleanse
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
And that's a good thing. And you
Yeah,
should be feeling pain. Your
yeah,
stomach's going to feel pain because it's starting to process what it's meant to have
yeah,
processed this whole time.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's just like no pain, no gain. Like I know that's
exactly.
cheesy, but like for
It's
real.
true.
So I went through like that whole first week of like mayhem, and then I came out of it, and I just remember feeling like clean, like I was running off clean energy. I had no dips throughout the day. I felt really good, and I think the biggest thing that I was able to get from veganism was just a sense of spirituality. But on the other side, like my skin was the clearest I've ever like it has ever been. I was like, whoa.
Like the hell was glowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. So I had a nice little glow. But one thing I realized um, was, or one thing I felt was like I didn't have the same horsepower I did when I was eating meat. And what I mean by that is like when I was in the like I lift a lot of weights. I do like a lot of power lifting and stuff like that. So like power cleans and
Hmm.
snatches, and I just felt like I wasn't able to lift the same weight. I was getting more tired than usual, and then I began to realize that I was missing certain supplements like B6 or whatever, and so
Hmm.
I definitely supplement myself, and I felt better. But I think what works best for me is having an overall clean diet, and I think
Definitely.
I'd still eat meat, but I really, really making an effort to eat clean fruit and vegetables every day. That's not Saturday and Wednesday. I have two cheat days.
I like
So,
how you like have them planned out too. That's
yeah,
perfect.
got to, and the reason I have those two cheat days is because I work out a lot too. So it's like I said, it's like an 80-20. It's a give and take. All right, if I know I'm gonna
Definitely.
work out 5 times vigorously this week, well then I get 2 days to chill out. But if I don't work out, if it's for example, say if I'm like on vacation or whatnot, not vacation, but like if I'm not able to work out,
Hmm.
I I'll kind of like take away those cheat days because I'm not gonna be a fat ass.
Exactly.
You know
No,
what I'm
that
saying?
totally makes
Yeah.
sense because you're not gonna just like completely let yourself go in one week
Yeah.
if you can't get to the gym or if you can't go to jujitsu or something like that.
For
So,
sure, for sure.
yeah.
So that was a interesting experience. But I think there's like some type of like spirituality you get from being vegan. I think it's like this sense of purity in a sense. Like you're eating clean, you feel clean, and then it kind of travels to your spirituality. I always think that the physical state is connected to the mental state, and the mental state is connected to the spiritual state.
100%. I actually think that it's really weird, but like looking back on it, I had started taking yoga classes around that time too.
Hmm.
Like every single Sunday, I'd go, and it was almost like yoga was church.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'd go there every single Sunday morning with my mom. We'd take a yoga class, and then I usually had work after that. So I'd be going discussing nutrition with all of the people that would come into the restaurant. We could talk for hours. Like I knew every single one of our regulars. They'd come in. I already had their juices and things ready,
Hmm.
and it was just great to hear people come in and stuff and say that like juicing has helped them like continue to not have their cancers return and to
Hmm.
not have things that they've battled for so long happen to them,
Yeah.
whether it's just like high cholesterol or they have if they're diabetic, stuff like that. If you do juice cleanse, it can actually help a lot of just natural problems that we run into because of how much people consume sugars and just unnatural sweeteners and flavors and things that we're not supposed to come in contact with to begin with.
Yeah.
And what you were saying before about not fully being vegan, that is a really common thing for people too, is that they don't feel the energy from veganism sometimes because of the lack of protein and the
Hmm.
lack of carbohydrates and the macronutrients that they really do need, because it's so hard to balance a vegan diet when you do look at it for yourself. So that was something I was learning too, because after probably a year or two of it, I didn't really feel the full effect anymore, and I was getting a little bit tired again, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, am I not getting enough protein? Like, what's going on? And I don't think I was eating 100% the right things, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of legumes and a lot of other things that are packed with protein that I just didn't know, I wasn't aware yet.
Yeah.
So that could have been a huge thing for you too, is just finding the right balance, and definitely eating some meat to kind of subsidize once in a while with the other things is it's super beneficial. I personally just don't prefer it at this
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, there definitely becomes a stage once your body adapts to, the vegan diet. You begin to look at meat and like, "Ee, why did I eat that before?" Like you smell like smelling bacon to the average person is very appetizing, but when you're vegan for a minute and you get away from it and you smell bacon, and like that's a
it's
pig.
disgusting.
Like yeah, yeah,
To me, everything started actually smelling, this is really gross, but everything started smelling like burning flesh to me.
yeah.
And it was really disgusting. And I was so surprised, because I was obsessed with like cheeseburgers, literally in love with them. Like, I'll see like a truffle cheeseburger on a menu and be like, ooh, I wish. And the only reason I know I don't order that is because I did try, like I said, I had a couple cheat days. I tried chicken tenders, like fried chicken fingers, which I used to eat all the time going to dance. I love them, especially from like Burger King or someplace that's like
Yeah.
absolute crap food.
Yeah.
Loved them. But I went to go try them with my friend at like a nice restaurant too.
Yeesh.
Tasted the chicken, something about like whether it was like the amino acids in it or something
Yeah.
breaking down in my just tongue, like the
Yeah.
first way food digests. Absolutely disgusting. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. It completely threw me off. Like, I could taste every element of the chicken, and it didn't even taste like chicken to me. I was like, what is this? Like, it tasted so gross. So I've noticed that every time I've tried to kind of eat something other than fish, to me it tastes absolutely disgusting. I don't know why, but fish, like being more pescatarian, is the only thing that I really tend to cheat a vegan diet with,
Yeah.
is something like mahi or just like
Yeah.
salmon, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I am having a day where I can't like fully cook or prepare like vegan food all the time, I'll eat something like that if it's at a restaurant or somewhere else. So
Well, when you think about the way we're living right now, the way society is, like, I guess, organized, we're not supposed to be living like this. There's not supposed to be so many people in this little area, and there's this one grocery store that caters to thousands and thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? And they're getting these fish from farms, and these fish are growing up in horrible conditions, and it's like, the stuff that we're eating is not even really fresh. So I definitely,
Exactly.
I definitely get that perspective of like being a vegan, your body's cleansed, and then smelling like cooked meat or whatever, and be like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Yeah.
if the reality of the situation is, I should be out in a freshwater river catching my salmon, like in nature. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality. But what we're getting is like these big hordes that are being caught by these big ass ships, in these nets, and then they're being dried out and whatever. We're getting in such a I think an unnatural way. It becomes like an unnatural process, and that's not good for the protein.
And I think that's the biggest reason too why it almost seems like a fad or like a new trend of the veganism, is because a lot of people are starting to realize like their ancestry and their roots, and some people are meant to eat red meat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Though you can see it in their genetics, their teeth makeup, stuff like that. They have sharper canines, they have more pronounced jawlines, stuff like that. And when I was looking into it, and where I'm from, I would be surrounded by water, so I would most likely be eating fish.
Yeah.
And that's it. I wouldn't be eating land animals because we wouldn't even be able to have any. It'd be too cold.
Yeah.
So that was something that kind of hit me as like, wow, like if people really look into their ancestry, especially with the whole like DNA tracking and stuff. I think you had posted something that you were going to do that.
Right here, I got my 23andMe package
Oh,
right here. I'm about to
cool.
get to. I'm so happy. I'm
exciting.
I'm so excited to understand who my ancestors were. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and understand the origins. And I feel like once you know like the beginning, like the history, then you can further be able to know yourself better.
Exactly, and I'm supposedly like French, Canadian, Lithuanian, but I want to really know like what else, because those
Yeah.
are so polar opposite sides of almost the world that it's like, am I mixed with other things? Like, what
Yeah.
am I really? Because it's
Yeah.
just there's so many interesting elements to a person, especially in their genetic makeup. If
Yeah.
you think about how many centuries of humans that have just like come together to produce you, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
I seen
that
like an interesting post. It kind of broke that down in a sense because it was like you have two parents, then you have four grandparents, then you have eight great grandparents, then you got 16 second great grandparents, and it goes down the line to where it's like by the time you go to like your ninth great grandparents, you have like 2,048
Oh my
like
gosh.
ancestors.
Oh my
See,
gosh.
even that right there is such a big number for me to
Yeah.
comprehend. Having that many relatives is just
Yeah.
mind blowing. Like, I'm good
Yeah.
with the 35 maybe that I have right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Humans are very interesting. I think that, at the core of humanity, there's a lot of greatness going on, and there's a lot of potential for greatness going on.
Definitely.
And I think just the whole like lines of ancestry is so cool. That's why I can't wait to really open this kid up and really explore who I am. I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited. Um, but I know I got off a little topic, but I'm gonna go back on topic, and I want to know the meaning behind the name of your company, One
Thank
Green
you.
Leaf. Yeah.
Yes, that's actually, wait, I'm so glad you asked because actually no one's asked that yet. So,
Hey,
originally, thank you. Yeah, originally it was going to be called Organically Human Company. And the reason behind that was because that's our main purpose. We want the most organic, natural chemical reaction with not only our customers and all of our consumers, but we want them to have natural organic reactions in their bodies. We want them to consume things that are going to make them feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the common reaction that I got from people coming in to be organic when I was working there was just, "Oh, I love this place. There's nothing like it here. Like this is so good. Every time I come here, the food's so fresh. Like it tastes good. I always leave feeling happy and full and like healthy." And that's what I want people to say when they leave my restaurant. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly what I want to hear. And I want to promote like just the message of health and wellness. So when I realized that I didn't just want to open a restaurant, though, I could take this further with the whole eco sustainability-ness of my dream of where I see the future heading. I decided that Organically Human Co. would be better fit for a company. Organically Human Co. in and of itself is the company that should have branches of restaurants, cosmetic lines, furniture lines, just eco-sustainably friendly companies. So we kind of wanted to do everything with that. We wanted to create a recycled clothing line. We wanted to create recycled, upcycled furniture because there's nothing like that really yet. I see
Yeah.
a ton of products with bamboo and glass and things like that, and I know that that's coming back again, and that's typically trendy just because stuff does taste better when it's coming out of glass.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fact. Plastic gets all weird, and the chemicals do kind of seep into your food.
Yeah.
You taste it, especially
for
if it's
sure.
going in the microwave.
Yeah.
So I personally am not a fan, but I do understand the price and convenience of it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think it's better to have a higher quality product, and I
Yeah.
think tons of people would agree, especially if we can get those higher quality products to become less expensive.
Yeah.
And that's my whole goal too, is like I really feel for like the middle and lower class, and I feel that we should be giving back more to the community, and that's like what the whole Organically Human Co. just as in and of itself stands for, is just like we want humans to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
So in any way, shape, or form possible, like we want to make the world a better place, basically.
Whenever you're operating off a pure system like that and you want to change the world in such a pure way, it's always going to work out. So you'll be definitely successful in that endeavor, and I can't wait because I really do think customer satisfaction and the quality of the product is what people is like the best selling point. It's like what people really want, you know what I'm saying? That's why I work so hard to get all the, equipment in here so the sound quality could be at its best, you know what I'm saying? And even the video.
Exactly.
Yeah, people really do enjoy like quality stuff. So,
Yeah.
whenever you're trying to lowball people and serve like cheap, it comes off like everybody knows, man. It comes off like
Yeah.
clumsy, you know what I'm saying? People don't want to buy that. So I wanted to go into, the next thing, which is, you mentioned the glass bottles, which I saw. That's so dope. Like
Thanks.
I mean, I think just even that, separates you from, whoever's competing against you. But what are some of like the key ingredients you use in, your most, I guess, advertised drinks?
So right now, my partners and I, they have been pretty much focusing on school. I know one of them graduated. So all three of us came together because we're interested in different things. So one of my partners, her name's Philomena, she's super interested in marketing, and then her sister Angela is super good with economics.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
nice team, by the way.
exactly, and I'm more management and entrepreneurship, so I'm more ideas and also the focusing the group, getting everyone to come together to actually get the stuff done.
Yeah.
So we're not 100% still going to work together at the moment, so I'm going to see how that's panning out, which is why there's been a slight delay in the progress of things, because originally, like, this whole thing was my idea. So since there's been a slight level of inactivity, I basically just decided to get the ball rolling with at least starting with juice cleansing.
Yeah.
So for that, with the ingredients, that was pretty much purely like all three of us going into a Google Docs, just like every single day adding stuff to it. So we have like 65 full pages of recipes.
Wow.
Seasonal stuff, holiday stuff, like everything. Like, we're fully ready, and we don't want to be just another juice bar. Like, it's more. There's like so many more elements that go into it. So it's also just typically places use ingredients like celery, apple, stuff like that. Like, I want to bring something new to the table, like dandelions and hibiscus flower and things that people don't even know the benefits of, because hibiscus flower in and of itself, if you brew it fresh as a tea, is extremely good for blood pressure. It can almost completely cure blood pressure problems.
Really?
Yeah, high blood pressure. It
Repeat
can
that
completely,
one more time.
if you drink like hibiscus tea on a regular basis every single day, it can completely almost high blood pressure.
And so many people have high blood pressure right now, and with this whole COVID thing going on, that's one of the things that people who does have high blood pressure are more susceptible to suffer really badly from COVID, even die. So that's really important that yeah, that's dope.
And there's a lot of things that go into, like, asthma right now is another huge thing with COVID. And my sister has asthma. We had taken her to a nutritionist, and the nutritionist basically told us, like, asthma is caused by something called leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut is basically like when the cilia in your large intestine, there's blocks in it. So when the food goes to digest, it's actually leaking through, and some of the nutrients from the food that you're eating are getting redeposited into your lungs as waste product too. Not even as, oh yeah, here lungs, here's some nice nutrients. No, it's like, here lungs, here's some trash.
Yeah.
And that's where people start to get that crackly, horrible asthmatic reaction, and the allergies, all of that stuff. So if you do have asthma, considering like a gluten and dairy-free diet would be phenomenal. Like, not full-blown veganism, but like the nutritionist did suggest that like lean turkey, lean chicken, absolutely no dairy and gluten will fix asthma, and it has for my sister. She has gotten so much better. The kid can run a mile in 8 minutes flat. Phenomenal. This kid could not run, practically not even breathe, like 3 years ago. So, and was overweight, to not mention. So it's like there's a lot of issues, and now extremely healthy kid, like she's doing so well, and it's all diet related. So that's exactly like where I want to be, like to be able to teach people that. So eventually I'll probably get like maybe something in nutrition, but that's a future plan.
That's so dope. I know, like, me operating as I guess I'm the CEO of the podcast, and then and something I'm about to launch in the future. I'm not gonna really tell it right now, but I got some big things planned. It has really changed my life in such a way to where, like, I'm just like a creator now. You know what I'm saying? And that's so freeing, because I'm able to allow my mind to go to places that, before I didn't, because I didn't allow myself to be creative. And I know Lap, he's the CEO of his own thing, and, he trades like currencies and is able to support himself. So, by the way, he'll give you some good finance like tips as well. We got we got the Daily Currency. That's like a financial blog, gives tips out to like young entrepreneurs and stuff. But like I said though, but like that CEO really, changes. It has changed my life, and I know it's changed his life. What about for you? You're 20. You're not even. You're at the very beginning of life. You have so much life to live, and you're already setting out a journey that you want to pursue. It's like a life endeavor for you. So how has being a new CEO changed your life?
Oh, that's like my favorite question. Wow. I think it definitely has to go with what you said on creativity, that whole aspect of it. I never realized how many ideas I had actually had all throughout high school until I looked back on how many notes I had taken.
Yeah.
Some of the things Apple's produced were my ideas, like a bajillion years ago, and I just never talked about it, never told them. Obviously, like, I could have maybe have had potential to have gotten credit for some of
Yeah.
those things. But it's just crazy that, of course, tons of people will always have the same ideas. And so I'm not threatened by that anymore, because something huge with entrepreneurship is you can tell people your ideas, because if you're working on them harder and if you're pursuing them harder and if you're just pursuing them at a faster rate and better quality and you care, you're going to come out on top.
For sure.
And if
Plus,
you
a
have
lot of people don't ask.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
I was saying a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't execute. Yeah, I don't. Discord's like, it kind of went in and out. Yo, say something. Testing.
My bad. It was like breaking up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're good now.
we had some issues. I think it was last episode where like we were talking the whole time and just breaking up in and out, and that's like a nightmare for the audio.
Oh,
So
no.
now I'm kind of like scarred every time anything happens, because we are operating off of software, and he is in Dallas, Texas, and we do this on a weekly basis. You know, even though that we're in different states, and we try to find the best way to operate, you know, digitally, and I feel like this is the best. So anyway, fast forward.
Definitely, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So
No worries.
I think it's just the whole freeing creative aspect of it and being able to kind of transform my ideas into reality. I'm just obsessed with it at this point. Like, I keep thinking of different things, and at my internship right now, I'm practicing some of like my marketing skills with them in order to kind of just test it out, see how it goes. So the reason I haven't fully 100% launched things with my own company is because being a young entrepreneur, you don't want to be a stupid entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they just go into it, they launch stuff, they'll just start a clothing line or something simple. And yeah, you can definitely get people to buy your stuff. It's purely marketing. Your product may suck, you can still get people to buy it. But if I want this to be the bigger picture that I see it being, it takes time.
Yeah.
And so for me, being like a CEO, it's about the time that I need to put in, and it's about just graduating college right now, like making sure that I have all the information possible to be successful, and then finding a mentor I keep hearing about and keep reading about. And it's probably like one of the best pieces of advice that I hear from people is you have to find someone that's almost as passionate, if not more passionate, about whatever you want to pursue. They have to be super, super passionate about that too. Find them, like borderline stalk them, hang out with them all the time, do anything that you can to kind of connect with this person, because I'm sure they'll fall in love with you as much as you fall in love with them and their ideas. So, and they can just help you grow so much. So it can turn into this like beautiful mentorship where they're just giving you a ton of information because they've already lived it and experienced it. And so right now, that's kind of my main next step, is finding that person that connects with my ideas on the same level. Because I haven't really fully started searching. I've been in search of a little bit, and I keep running into some contacts where it's like, okay, this person has the same idea as me.
Potential.
Maybe it could go somewhere. Yeah, but then I definitely noticed that there are possibilities for this to go extremely wrong too. So I want it to 100%, like, I'm super all about the vibes. Like, I need this person and I to completely 100% vibe. And not just like, oh my God, we're 100% compatible with, we agree on everything. No, I would love if that person could disagree with me.
Yeah.
I need you to tell me my ideas suck. I need you to tell me that, like, this is a much better way to do things, because then we can bounce off each other and actually make progress. So with the internship, a lot of that is kind of like, are these ideas good? Like, can you mentor me in the way that I need to be mentored and stuff like that? And it's been super helpful already so far, because I've been writing blogs for them, stuff that I used to do for fun freshman year.
Nice.
And it's all about nutrition, health, stuff like that, like weight loss, just like different diets. So, and that's right up my alley of the way that I like to do things.
Yeah.
So it's been a great experience so far in learning how to do that.
Yeah, most definitely. That's awesome. And it does go back to divine timing. You know, you can't rush the process. That's why I call it. It is a process, and it's a lifelong process at that. So instead of a sprint, like the great late Nipsey Hussle said, is a marathon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you really have to make sure that you're making calculated moves out there. Now, everybody's going to make mistakes, especially when we're young like this in our 20s and we're trying to, you know, achieve big heights. But, you know, it is going to be a test and trial type of thing. And I know Lap can speak to this, you know, being a young entrepreneur as well. Like, what are some things that, you know, you kind of keep at the forefront to focus on, just to make sure that, you know, you're pacing yourself, and you're, but at the same time as pacing yourself, you're still working hard at your craft? Oh shit, did it break up? Yo. Yo, Brian. All right.
I was gonna say, can you hear
Right.
us?
Some of this is going to be edited out. Don't worry about it. Here, I'm about to. I'm going to hang up.
Oh, poor dude.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to call you back. Yo, can you hear me?
Everything sounds really good.
Oh, bet. Yeah.
Good. All right. Cool. We'll just edit that out the show. But
Yeah, it was like, did I sound like I was talking underwater too?
I didn't even hear you, bro.
You can just
Sorry,
like
yeah.
insert a commercial
Sound
break.
like I was talking underwater.
That's
So
why I
it's
was like
like,
throwing the podcast like the little penguin, like do 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 do.
Yeah.
Back.
So,
cute.
did you hear the question I asked you?
not at all.
All right, cool. We'll just do a rehash. You know, she was as far as like being an entrepreneur. What are some of the things that you keep close to mind to ensure that you have a happy medium where you're pacing yourself and you're making those smart moves, but at the same time, you know, you're grinding at a steady pace to accomplish your goals?
That's a really good question. I feel like just like belief in self, um, and just in the journey in itself, because like there's definitely times that you get down and you feel distraught, and at the end of the day, it's all a journey and it's all a process. And like the rainy days, you forget about all the rainy days when there's a sunny day, and you forget all about the sunny days when there's a rainy day. And at the end of the day, I mean, you are who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, when it comes to being creative and when it comes to being an entrepreneur, like you are who you are. Like there's no pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like you are who you are, and just have fun with it. I mean, just being able to wake up is a blessing. Being in good health, being in good spirits, knowing that you have people that are behind you and love you, um, helps a lot. And just celebrating the little victories as well, because like at the end of the day, like whatever step you are in your journey of being an entrepreneur, you could lose it all today, but at the end of the day, since you built it off of experience, you can get it back. So worst case scenario, your net worth will be affected, but not your self worth.
Yeah, well, nicely put.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
For sure. And I know that, just a side note, that you have a little birthday dinner to get to, so I don't want to keep you here too long. As I mentioned
I have
before.
some time.
Oh, you have some time? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I was gonna
okay.
say we're not meeting up till like 7. So
All right,
we're good.
cool. So, I just wanted to see your vision. Like, what does, One Green Leaf look like 10, 20, 30 years from now? What's like the end all be all?
I don't know if I've 100% thought about that, because I am trying to take it step by step. Like a big problem that I've had in the future, which I think was the reason for my whole like spiritual and veganism like lifestyle change, was just that I think too big. Like sometimes it's too crazy, it's too much, it's too all at once, and then it's too overwhelming. So for me, I would love to see One Green Leaf, so I forgot to mention it earlier, but the one is supposed to like just be symbolic of like we have one world, like one planet. So that whole thing, because I know there's another company that supports like there's no planet B. So that's where the whole one comes from.
Yeah.
Is just like, this is the one. Like,
Yeah.
we need to protect this one.
Until Elon
So-
Musk. No, I'm just
I'm like, until he finds another planet, I mean, let me know when that happens.
Right.
But yeah, so this is the one, and we need to focus on this one at least as long as we're alive, because
Yeah.
we may not see another planet B. You know what I mean? So if we focus on this one, and also the whole green leaf thing, it's just symbolic of like green is fresh, it's living, it's healthy, it's happy, it's new, it's inexperienced, something like that. So there's a lot of different like things behind the name of it, and I would like to see that turn into multiple green leaves. Like,
Yeah.
I would like to see multiple different locations. I don't think I'm planning on franchising, but I do think I'd like to have separate locations. That way they could be run differently, and I'd like to hire chefs and people with the same mindset that I have to manage and run the place. So that's where I do see it going. Obviously, I can't tell you 100%.
Yeah,
like, if
yeah.
it would wind up getting franchised or something, like,
Yeah.
it's honestly up to, I guess, investors and other people that would come into play.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the whole Organically Human Co. picture come to life, where
Yeah.
we have, like, a cosmetics line for people, especially people that are more prone to acne, that need vegan care line, and they need products that are actually going to help, and they're not filled with a ton of fillers and water and things that dull down the actual effects of the product.
Yeah.
So my idea with that would be, yes, the products are definitely going to be more expensive, but it's because we're putting pure ingredients in them. So I think that's more of a target market we would do, because I've seen, like, Herbivore Botanicals, Kate Somerville, a lot of those products, they work really well. They're awesome. It's just when you really do look at the ingredients, there's a lot of a base to it. So you're paying like almost $80 per product, but you're not really getting that much of it
Yeah.
in effect.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd like to see the real results for people. I'd love for them to, like, be able to send us photos and be like, this product's changed our lives so much. And then I'd also just like to be able to do things like free yoga classes in the morning at the restaurants, like
Nice.
have gardening classes where we teach people about nutrition, that they can have little aquaponic gardens in their homes.
Wow.
Like, because you can set that up pretty much anywhere, even
For
if you have
sure.
like a little apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
You know what, set up some like cilantro. Cilantro is amazing for your heart and your blood health. Set up a little bit of spinach, a little bit of like any type of salad you prefer. It could be arugula, something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Set up a little bit of this. You can make yourself little tiny salads for lunch or for any
Yeah.
time of the day, and that's going to definitely help you get like real natural fresh ingredients right into your own home. So,
Yeah.
and then also it reduces costs for everyone, because if
Yeah.
you are living in a tiny apartment like that that's super expensive in the city somewhere, or even in Miami City, like, people do need these things because it actually will lower their overall food costs so much, and they'll be eating things that'll benefit them in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you think about paying more now for good quality food, you're going to be paying less in medical bills later on.
For sure.
And you'll also have a better overall quality of life. So it's
Yeah.
like, do you want to be hiking? Do you want to be swimming when you're like 30, 40, 50, 60? Because that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I want to just be able to take a huge group of people with me to be able to like get to that place in life.
Yeah.
And so 10, 20 years from now, yeah, I see myself like having kids, having other just like kind of like mentees as part of the company to kind of like go all over preaching about nutrition, people with different educational degrees. If people are passionate about public speaking and they want to be a part of our company and just preach to people health and wellness, then go for it. We'll support you. We'll 100% back you. That's
Yeah.
I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to put the money into research programs for more natural products and just for more natural agricultural production
Yeah.
too. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like everybody hoarding the animals into
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
because if you think about it, who lives in Kansas, like who lives in Tennessee, who, like, there's only like 9,000 to 10,000 people in those states. We should have slightly more farms and slightly more spread out agriculture, because we can transport things at this point. We have trains, planes, everything. So if we do spread out livestock production and we don't make it so nasty and harsh and just the way that they do things, if we can clean that up and
Yeah.
fix it to really make a pure pig and to make pure meat and stuff like that, I think it would just change everyone's lifestyle. People would be happier. They're not polluting their brains with like chemicals and different like antibiotics and things they're pumping into the meat.
Yeah.
So that would be amazing. That would be like my like end goal 100%.
Those are so many great ideas, and I think, going back to the picture, like, I really do think it depends on what you're doing. So like, as far as like, if you want to be like the best MMA fighter, if you want to be like, the John Jones, well, you have a very specific task and you know what you got to do to get to that level. I have to train my ass up. I have to compete in the UFC, and I have to, somehow get lucky to do that. But as far as when you're doing something, when you're a CEO of a new budding company, you have so many great ideas that's surfacing up every day. The picture can change slightly, based on what happens, what picks up. But I do know that
Exactly.
I do know based on your model and what you got going on so far, the quality is going to be A1, which I think that's going to be a huge, huge thing for your company.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think just the mission that you're trying to accomplish, the route that you're taking is just absolutely pure, and it's, you know, it's absolutely positive. You're trying to do a positive thing to a world that needs a lot of positivity right now.
That's my biggest thing too, especially with everything going on and there being so much like just hateful talk in the world, like people just taking sides almost for no reason too, because it's like, if you think about it, if there was nothing to take sides over, would people still take sides? And the answer is yes. By nature, like, we fight with each other, and I feel like the only root of that is because it's like there's this almost like Darwin need for us to compete with each other as a species. And it's really sad, but if people could really see it that way and realize that I'm sorry that I'm not perfect on my own, and I'm sorry that I'm not a perfect person, but I need other people in my society to help me make me better. If they could really see it like that and see the necessity in having connections and relationships with other people, I think that we'd be in such a better place than we are now.
Yeah.
And I do think there are countries that understand that as a whole, and I do think there are some really amazing places in the world where their societies do come together. Their culture is just phenomenal because it's about supporting the children. It's
Yeah.
about, we're going to raise the children in the community to be better people. You know why? Because we care about them.
Yeah.
We're going to raise them all together because every day they're not thinking like, when am I going to go into work? When am I going to do this? Oh my God, I didn't feed my dog. Oh my God, I didn't do this, blah, 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 blah. Like, I didn't get these paperwork done. I didn't send this to this person. They're not thinking about that stuff. They're just thinking about, we're going to make a lovely meal for dinner. Let's go catch some fish. Let's go get some chickens together, something like that. And they're actually coming together as a huge, 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 huge family unit and as a huge, huge, huge society to just be happy and be together. And that's what's the most important thing, is just like being happy and being together, being with people. So I think that overall, like, it would be great to kind of get the whole community to understand that too.
Yeah, I think at the core, coexisting is the best outcome for all of us. I think Malcolm X said something beautifully, and it still holds up to be accurate today. Something to the effect of, the media is the strongest superpower of the oppressor. And in this case, you know, everybody's being oppressed. Obviously, you know, blacks are oppressed or whatever, but everybody is at this moment, you know, that's in like the general population, I guess you would say, who doesn't have like a large source of income, is being oppressed in some type of way. And I think the media has a huge responsibility in that. Just the way they exaggerate stories, just the way that they create these false narratives, and then you have so many different outlets saying this and other outlets are saying that, and it just adding fuel to the fire. I think we have to get back to what, you know, our ancestors did, as far as like being they lived in a society where they was never plugged in, but we have to really unplug and really enrich our spiritual life and begin to start answering the most important questions. What's going on? You know what I'm saying?
And I want to piggyback off of that too. I feel like one of the fundamental differences, or you know, how we get to this point, is basically like we've all been, I guess, sold on the idea of scarcity instead of abundance. So when you make everybody anxious and scared and fearful and just, and I guess in that competitive mindset, to where we think there's only so many resources, so many this and that, it puts you in a tumultuous position to not want to unify. But it's really, we live in the opposite. Like, the world is abundant, but it's like you kind of been funneled to think a certain way. And that also goes back to diets as well. I feel like the key thing for your company is that I feel like you definitely promote like dietary literacy and competence, because at the end of the day, there isn't an Oreo tree, there isn't a chicken nugget tree, there isn't a Dorito tree, you know what I mean? And a lot of these things that we think are normal, like drinking milk all the time, and you know, basically those campaigns were kind of sold to us like cigarettes, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, man, milk is not supposed to stay like edible for like 2-3 weeks. Like, when you have milk sitting in the fridge, like, whoa, that's not healthy.
Yeah, and my thing with it too is like, if you're farming cows and you're gonna take the milk and actually go through the process of making it yourself, I'm sure it actually will give you vitamin benefits and that you'll get stuff from it. But if it's being so overprocessed to the point where, yeah, it's able to stay out for 3-4 weeks, like a month, it's almost kind of disgusting because it's like, A, how, but B, like, this is supposed to be feeding a baby cow for 3 to 4 months, even like 6 months. Like, it's not supposed to be going into feeding my baby to turn my baby into a cow.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, that is typically the result. Like, it does fatten children. So it's like, if we look at it that way and we kind of realize that there's other milk alternatives and other kind of just ways to eat things that are in a slightly healthier manner, then I feel like everyone overall like will do better too.
Yeah, I feel like when you overconsume processed or foods that have a lot of I just forgot the word, preservatives, preservatives.
Yeah.
You know, it's always going to cause some type of medical condition on down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
And you mentioned something about, you know, diet being like a long-term investment. I also say as a short-term too, because obviously you feel the benefits, you know, in maybe like 2 weeks or whatever, which is very short-term. But like you said, long-term, I mean, you really will save a lot of money. And it's, you know, it's not all about medical bills. It's about being able to rock climb with your grandkids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Move around with your grandkids. I know so many people who are like hunchback. For the people who are listening to audio, I'm hunching my back, you know what I'm saying? But like who are just, you know, and they can barely operate. You know, whenever they move, they like break their hip or whatever. It's just like that was because that person probably didn't exercise worth a lick and their diet wasn't the best. And I feel like through, like right now we live in a perfect time with the internet. We can educate ourselves through that. But I think we can also educate ourselves looking at like the older population and see where they went wrong.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's one of the things, like diet is such a necessity. Such a necessity.
Exactly. And if you think about it too, like the earth is literally providing you with this stuff. It is giving you this stuff. Like that is such a blessing in and of itself, that we're being given these things that we don't have to produce. We don't have to manufacture. We choose to.
Yeah.
We choose to almost ruin the stuff that we're being given. You're being given such a beautiful thing, and then you're going to go take it, destroy it, shrivel it, fry it, bake it, oil it.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I can't even comprehend that now. Like, I just don't understand it, the way that we got so into cooking. And I love a good cooking show. Like, I love watching how that stuff's done. But I think another cool, like, goal of mine could be to create, like, almost a fully, like, all-vegan, like, cooking show.
Yeah.
Something like that, something different where people can actually see how to do things without the typical products that we would use, like butter, half and half, heavy creams, stuff like that. Because when you look at it, like, it's not very good for you. It has a lot of fat and cholesterol in it. So it might as well be better to kind of teach, like, even the older population, too, because I know they watch a lot of TV and they watch more of the easy access stuff. Some of them aren't very good with technology, so it'd be cool to kind of have almost like a podcast-ish type show where we could teach them how to actually cook the stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's very easy stuff. It's almost super simple too when you have like the right amount of proteins and things in your house to put it all together. And then you can just add like a little bit of chicken here and there, a little bit of turkey, stuff like that, some salmon, and that's super beneficial for you as well. So
Well, no doubt, man. I think we crushed this episode.
Yeah.
I'm all out of ammo right there. Lap, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I guess in closing, I said, I think one question, or maybe two, but we'll ride with it. I was gonna say, like, what were some of the things you researched on your journey to get where you are today? Like, whether it be like articles, movies, videos, or books that kind of helped you get you to where you are today.
Definitely. I know there's some great documentaries on Netflix. I'm not 100% what I specifically watched, but I had watched some of those and heard about them through some friends and through just like school in general. Our school, actually, my high school, started doing this thing where we had teachers come in and actually like preach about veganism and how good it was for the body. And it was interesting to see some of my classmates' reactions too to that. But with books, I would say literally support your local bookstore, go to Barnes & Noble, somewhere. There's so much, especially if there's like an ailment that you're having, whether it's like you can't breathe right, you can't hear right, your vision's kind of blurry now and it wasn't a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Something like that, go look it up in the bookstore. Books are amazing, and it is so much more fun for me to actually see a clear page and be able to read something and highlight it, like add a little like note to it, stuff like that. I love doing that.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun for me to do that, to actually figure out like what type of an issue that I'm having and what type of nutritional elements like I'm lacking.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that all the time. And then with articles, blogs, stuff like that, I mean, find stuff that's not ad based. Try to find the best. If it is like a governmental website or like an education website, it'll be like .gov or .edu. I would look at something like that. Maybe go through. I liked to honestly go through Harvard, Yale, like huge research institutions and their science departments, because I know a lot of different scientific beliefs can be corrupt and can be misconstrued. But overall, I think when it comes to health and nutrition, they are spot on with a lot of those things. From there, always take the information that you get another 3 sources from it. Because I would find out one thing, and then I'd find 3 people that completely disagreed with it. So at the end of the day, you really do have to, like, pursue it as hardcore as you can, because my dad even would try to fight me on it all the time. He'd look something up on Google and be like, listen, you're totally wrong, you're doing everything wrong, this is unhealthy, you're going to be anemic, blah, 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 blah. The thing was, the articles he was reading were biased towards non-vegans.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were biased towards vegans. They were promoting non-veganism, which is like, I completely understand that too. But at the same time, just because you're vegan, it doesn't mean you're going to be anemic all of a sudden. There's ways around that. You can add certain different vitamins in your diet, and you can add iron to help with that. And there's also lots of herbal teas, stuff like that. Like I was saying, the hibiscus flower, people do not know enough about leaves, teas, things like that, like fresh herbs. Literally, it's not even food. It's straight up, there's so many plants in the world that are literally provided to aid in medicine. And if you look at spiritual shamans of the past and everyone, they've literally used herbs to almost cure everything. So that, I think, is like, definitely do your research.
Like Ken McElroy says in real estate, you know, you got to do your due diligence. You got to do your due diligence when it comes to like research and you know, looking at articles that, you know, provide that type of information, because like you said, there are like biased, you know, journal inserts and different things that will confirm your biased opinion. So you just got to really make sure and be careful that you have, you know, multiple resources to kind of back yourself up. Lap, you have another question, or was that it? I know you said you had 2.
I was just about to go off of what both of you all said. In a sense, because like I feel like one of the key things too is that, like, I wouldn't say that like diets have kind of been like overhyped in a sense, but it's like I feel like people get like trapped into a box where it's like you're almost into, like, I wouldn't even say a cult, but it's almost like a religion where it's like people really be like, no, I'm a meat eater, or no, I'm a, like, it's a diet, it's like flexible, it's like a lifestyle, like just because you know somebody may be a meat eater, that doesn't mean that they can't eat a salad. You know what I'm saying? Or just because somebody is a vegan doesn't mean that they can't, you know, eat meat for one day, or they're like scarred forever. You know what I'm saying? Like they're blemished. It's like
Exactly.
we're all just trying to figure it out. You got to know yourself too.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with that whole Darwin thing and our just natural, like, spirit to compete with each other. Like, that's where the whole, like, viciousness comes in. And I think that if we just understood that, like, this person, maybe they digest something differently than I do, call it a day, man. Don't fight with each other. That's so stupid, especially over things you're putting in your body and eating. To each their own, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, our biggest thing with our logo, too, is just, like, eat well, live well, be well. Because at the end of the day, that's... you want to do all those things, so
Period. For sure.
Yeah.
I think like much like a biological thumbprint, everybody has like their own little different thing that makes them feel
have their own
good.
little fingerprint.
Yeah. For sure. So in closing remarks, plug yourself in. Where can they follow you on Instagram? Do you have a Twitter page and any other sources they can get in contact with the business?
Yeah, right now it is just at One Green Leaf, I'm pretty sure, with the underscore. That's what we've got going on. And then if you need like a direct contact, you could contact me at DSIREE_LIANA. So that's
Awesome.
my name.
I was about to panic and faint if you were. I thought you were gonna give your phone number. I was like, you have so many people
no.
calling.
But you can definitely send me an email off my main page if you do need like some contact access, because I do respond quickly to that. So
Facts. Well, awesome. It was a pleasure having you. Zoe, take a picture while we're doing this, just so it looks like it's live action. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Like I said, it was like a complete honor to have you on. This was a great episode, and I'm sure our listeners are going to enjoy and love this. Let me go through the sponsors. sponsored by the Daily Currency right now. I'm sure that's going to change. We're like kind of in construction zone with our blog, but right now we have a lot of posts dedicated to finances. And family of the podcast, Regis, he's like the author on that. And speaking of authors, we have a book out. Lap, you can get into what the book is called, and he's a co-author as well on that.
That's awesome.
That caught me off guard there. No, I'm
No, my
saying, no, you good. Money, Currency of Illusion.
Okay.
Pretty much, it's a book about history of money and just subtle details of like the parallels of where we've been as far as how money goes and where we are today, and quick little nuggets and short stories that really help some of the lessons stick.
Awesome. And again, he authored that in Regis as well. Very good writer. So please check that out. And I think that caps off episode 50. Thank you guys. We love you. Conscious viewers, you're the best. Hey. All right. We're out. Bam. Woo. That was fun.
That was exciting.